Okay, here's a replay review for this Leona player here. Um, killerteddy22. And let's first dive into the runes and masteries. So for the runes, got armor, AP, AD armor, magic resist. Um, so first of all, AP is just terrible on Leona. You should not have those runes. Yes, AP quints are some of the best runes in the game, but no, not worth it. I also like attack damage is okay. I don't usually go attack damage, but I see some people, so it's kind of like preference. AD is good for if you have a kill lane. So anyway, these are the runes that I would suggest. Instead of taking AD, I prefer armor because you get 0.9 armor here, which is pretty comparable to the seals. But honestly, I get the armor marks because there's not really any other good marks. So that's why a lot of people do go AD for aggressive kill lanes because the AD marks are actually more efficient. But is AD efficient on a melee champ that mostly doesn't auto attack most of the laning phase? So it just depends. But definitely seals. Armor seals are not actually that good. HP seals are much more efficient gold wise. Armor seals are some of the worst runes in the game, especially compared to the competition, which is HP. Um, so I would get HP seals. MR glyphs no matter what. That's what you have. That's definitely the right idea here. And for Quints, I would get armor, HP, or a combination of both. So you took AP, but Leona really doesn't use AP. So armor is good, especially because we're not going armor seals. Armor Quints are super efficient. There's the armor Quints are basically the best rune in the game. For most champions, it's a waste to overinvest into armor in the early game, but for Leona, I think it's a good thing. Um, HP is also good. The goal of HP on Leona is to be able to dive bomb them at level 2 or a level 3 and survive the trade, but get a kill. So like you want a bigger max HP pool. Masteries here looks pretty standard. I don't know why you're straddling between here. You might as well just go all in one or all in the other. Um, so Legendary Guardian is actually not that good. You get 15 armor and 15 magic resist, which is worth about 700 gold in the late game if it's a 5v5. But the problem is you don't get that payoff until the late game, and by then you don't need 15 armor and magic resist that much, because you're gonna have like 3 or 4 items. So I think this is one of the best masteries in the game, and the 3 tank masteries are all pretty bad on supports, but this is worth getting in spite of these being bad. So swiftness is good against Ashe for 2 reasons. First of all, she's got a perma-slow on her auto attacks, so you need the 15% slow resist. Also, her ult is really long-term stun. You need the tenacity. And if we look at the enemy team comp, they've also got Kennen's AoE stun and Amumu's AoE stun. So having tenacity is going to be really important in this game. And you don't itemize for it all. You don't get boots. You don't get Merc Tread boots, and you don't have this. So you have 0% tenacity, which is going to hurt you in these fights. Now let's go ahead and dive into the game. Okay, so I'm on the wrong vision here.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Okay, so in the early game, your job as support is to either, like if you're an aggressive invading support like Thresh, Morgana, then obviously you want to get your team to invade. If not, you should just stand around, but not here. You should stand in this bush, You are a walking ward in the early game, so you need to be defensive to defend against an invade, so that you know if they're invading. Now, Amumu is probably not going to invade, but you should be defending against an invade anyway. Because why not? Why not stand in a good, powerful location instead of in a location that is going to potentially not be useful at all? Anyway, so it's not a big deal, but it's worth pointing out in every game. So, what you'll know here, information wins the game, especially as a support, because you don't have items, you don't have good scaling champs, so you have to win by information. The information I've gotten so far is that they're starting up here because Ash and Tom Kench are not in lane yet, so you know Amumu is starting blue. Now, how does that information help you? Well, it tells you that he's either going to gank at level 2, which is at like 30, he'll probably be down there, or he's going to not gank you at all until like 5 minutes. Because if he goes Gromp blue and then transitions into the top side of the map, he's not going to be bot side until about 4.5 or 5 minutes at the earliest. So the information is useful for ward coverage, especially. Okay, I don't like using my what's it called? I don't like using my relic shield on both minions at level 1 unless I just took Krugs, because if you take Krugs with your ADC, you're gonna be lower on health. You need the 80 heal. But if you're using relic shield on both of you with full health, you're ultimately wasting the heal that you get. So you just reduced both of your max health pool by about 40 each because you used the heal from the second relic shield stack without needing it. So, but no big deal. So as I'm paused, I need to talk about the laning pattern, and I've actually watched a little bit of your laning pattern before I started to know what I'm kind of aiming for. You need to take better advantage of the enemy mispositions. That's what Leona's queen at. She's the best support in the game at jumping on the ADC the moment they're an inch out of position. So you need to know all about zones. So let's talk about the zones. Leona has a ridiculously threatening zone at level 2. Right now you're kind of useless and you just need to get level 2 as fast as possible. So I'm not going to talk about that. But at level 2, you're going to have your Zenith Blade zone, which is about this long. It's a really long like hook, like it pulls you into them. You know about it. But the point is, it's really long range. It's got about this much range. So you need to be using that aggressive zone to your advantage. Unfortunately, Tom Kench is pretty much specifically designed to avoid the ADC dying to an aggressive support. Tom Kench is probably the hardest counter to Leona, but you can still make it work. Like, he's only a counter if he's playing right. But if he's playing wrong, he's actually useless. So you need to kind of keep an eye on his positioning in the early levels to know how you can engage. So right now, get level 2 as fast as possible. Use your aggressive zone. Right now, this positioning here I like because you're shielding him from his Q once this minion dies, which is kind of your job. And it's going to allow him to safely take these backline minions. But now you leave the... Okay, so he's actually still being minion shielded. That's fine. Now you're actually in a position where you're going to take some free poke from Ashe. So she's going to use her W to kill this minion and hit you. Or not. Okay, your positioning here is actually good for now. I like this position you've got going. Tom Kench could Q you. Actually, so I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know. Like, you don't need to be this far forward at level 1. You could be here. You're basically just extending out this meat shield so that Tom Kench doesn't get free harass onto him while he farms these. But he's not doing anything about it either. Something that bronze people don't realize is that you can actually harass the enemy support just fine. It's almost better because the support doesn't have sustain like an ADC. ADC's got 5% lifesteal from Mastery Endurance Blade, and they've got, usually they take Feast, which heals 20 health per 30 seconds. So harassing the enemy support's not a bad idea, and their Tom Kench is not doing that. Which means, so again, information is key. What is this Tom Kench's pattern? Well, he's not willing to Q you when you're in blatant range of getting Q'd, so you can be aggressive with your positioning. So get level 2. You should be able to get level 2 from these next couple of minions. And that's important. So, oh crap. This is where you need to turn it. This is a crucial moment. As soon as Ashe gets these 2 minions, she'll be level 2. But Ashe's level 2 actually sucks. Like, so what you need to do, what you should have done earlier, is use your trinket to get vision control of this brush. Because that's another thing Leona wins the lane off of, is vision control of the brush. Because right now, if you knew you could Q onto Tom Kench, it's probably not going to be a kill, but you're going to get like 400 of his health down. So, but you don't have vision control because you didn't prep it. He's just outside of your range. Unfortunately, your range is about here. So he's got good positioning. If you had a ward in the brush, you could have... Anyway. So this level 2 spike didn't really amount to much. That's fine. Another thing is their team managed to get a freeze. That was just a little bit farther up than you want. No big deal. You can still make a lot out of level 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So far, I'm seeing a big pattern here. So at level 1, you had good positioning. You were in front of Ezreal. But now that you have the ability to engage on them, you're not. So first of all, well, you should just be here. You're way out of Tom Kench's range. He's shielded by these minions, and you're not actually doing it, shielding it. You're just literally wasted space right now. And if Ezreal kills this cannon, it's actually you might be able to get anyway. So you need to be here because you can engage onto Ashe right now. Tom Kench is too far away to swallow her. So this would be a really good chance to harass Ashe down by like 400 HP. So you need to be standing up here, which will force Tom Kench to be sucked up here, adds fear of you engaging onto Ashe. But because you're behind Ezreal, you're giving Tom Kench the opportunity to come get aggressive positioning, and Ezreal's going to be forced to move up here, which is in Ashe's poke range. So these two have a really good lane presence dynamic going on, but you could easily shut that down if you weren't afraid to pull the trigger onto Ashe. I'm going to watch this on 2x. I don't want these videos to be an hour long. Okay, you took a lot of free harass there, and why did you get that harass? Well, you went in for a caster minion for your relic shield. Definitely wasn't worth it. So make sure that you don't do that. So you don't need to walk up to the back line of minions when a new wave of minions is about to reach you. You could just wait 10 seconds and get this minion here with your relic shield. So this is actually really bad for the laning dynamic. You're low, so you can't actually be aggressively positioning anymore, because if you engage onto Ashe, she can turn it and kill you. So you need to basically just, I mean, it's not a big deal. Just drink a potion so that you're back up to like 80% health. You're back again with this defensive positioning, which is pointless. I will point out this is a really good defensive pattern for a Nami. Actually, if I was Nami, I'd be like right here. No, I'd be right here. I'd be in this bush. But it's much better for a backline support like Nami. Really good positioning for Soraka. Although again, Soraka, I'd probably still be in this bush so I can get Qs onto him. But this is terrible for Leona, because at least with Nami and Soraka and Janna, this is probably the best position for Janna to be in. For those three supports, they can at least empower their ADC while they have useless positioning. You can't do anything here. You dropped a ward here. I'm not even going to activate cheat vision. I can guarantee you that Amumu is up here, because he took blue buff at level 1. Well, he took his like bottom side jungle at level 1. So again, like I said earlier, information is king. You know that Ashe and Tom Kench came to lane late because they leashed him. So you know that he's up here at least until about 4:30 or 5. Wasted ward. Also, another thing, what is Amumu gonna do walking around here? He should never be walking around here because he's Amumu. He's so weak in the enemy jungle. So if Amumu is ever going to gank bot lane, he's gonna do it coming down this way, so that he's only overexposed during the small stretch of the jungle. He could also lane gank from behind. So that ward was wasted for multiple reasons. Okay, here's a dynamic that happens over the next like 5 waves. Ezreal can't outpush the Ashe, in part because Ashe pushes fast with volley, but more because you're not threatening Ashe's positioning. So she can stand on top of the wave, clear it, and deny Ezreal CS because it's going to be continually crashing into your turret. So Ashe ends this laning phase with about a 15-20 CS advantage because she's getting the push, your turret's eating up the gold. And you could easily deny that. Tahm Kench is here. So you have 2 options. First of all, you could have used a trinket on the bush so that he can't just stand in the bush, or you can punish him for it. Or your other option is you should have been up here this whole time in this pocket of space here so that you can E onto Ashe right now. Because what you can do, you can E onto Ashe, Ezreal can just walk up into auto range and get some damage onto her. Then when she starts to run, he can hop like E up here safely and basically kill her up here. So, because Tahm Kench's job is to swallow his ADC, and he's not doing that because you're not forcing him to. I'm gonna fast forward the next couple of. Okay, there's a gank actually about to happen. You get a nice. You bait the gank. That was actually a decent gank assist. But I think you're gonna back off. And why do you need to back off? You have a Volibear with red buff against an Ashe. You're probably able to kill this Ashe. You also have Zenith Blade. So you were able to do that whole gank with only using your QW, which means you have this really, really crucial spell left. So you don't need to back off here. You'll notice that he did what he was supposed to do, which was flash Q the ADC as you were backing away. But if you had walked forward, you would have been like right here on Tahm Kench's tongue, and that's definitely in range. And she's got red buff slow, so this is a guaranteed Zenith Blade because it's really easy to aim when she's slow. You get both of her summoners, but I would say you denied your team's ability to hit this. You don't need to get some turret hits here. You should just back. Actually, that was a good tower dive. That was actually a good tower dive onto Ashe. Okay, so your little mistake earlier had eventually no consequence. Actually, Ezreal had to use flash heal because he had a tower dive, so that was actually a really big payoff, or like really big like cost of that kill. Yeah, you get the kill, it's nice, but you had to burn flash heal instead of killing her without flash heal. Wasted ward, almost always. If you really need defensive vision of this Tribrush against an Amumu, just put a ward here. Okay, this minion wave is huge, so you guys have no business fighting this. You're probably going to spend the next 2 waves until you have a neutrally sized wave. So I wouldn't really do any aggressive positioning at all here. I would just use my W to thin out the wave. Okay, so here's wave crash number 1. Like I said, it's probably going to take 2 before you get a neutral lane. Actually, this is relatively neutral, so you're able to clear that wave faster than I expected, and it is already neutral. Here's so again, let me point out, they're separated. This is kill her. Actually, you guys have a level advantage on her. You got 1 kill in the gank. He's got tier, but who cares? Ezreal still got a lot of damage even with tier. So this is a really good opportunity if you had aggressive positioning. Still don't. Okay, this was a good. I think Ezreal placed this trinket ward, but either way, this is good. So this would have been another opportunity for you to punish this gap in them, but Amumu's here. The backing off is fine. Now you're standing here. Here's another problem. Amumu ganked bottom lane unsuccessfully, but you know, he showed bottom. He could come back for the return gank, but you don't have vision anymore because you warded at the wrong time and you wasted 2 wards on this. So you don't actually have any wards left because you wasted 2 at the wrong time. So you have to be efficient with your ward use in the early game. I don't know why you swept that when Volibear's all the way up here. There's no reason to sweep that yet. Like, when he's doing wraiths, then you can sweep it. And if it's clear, you can type in chat, Tribrush is clear for gank. But wait till he's on this half of the map first. Yeah, so your Ezreal is 12 CS behind right now. And Ashe, what's more important, what's more detrimental to your laning phase is that Ashe gets to decide when the back. And the ADC who gets to decide the back is the ADC who usually wins the lane and wins the game. So, this is a lack of your... This is in part because of Amumu's pressure about a wave ago, so that Amumu was able to give them the ability to push this and then back up and recall. But it's also just, you have been aggressive this entire laning phase. So what I would do here is just back now, immediately. Like, you know Ashe is gone, it's best to match their back. There's 2 reasons you need to back. First one is you don't have any wards. You really need wards. And the second one is you've got enough gold. You've got 800 gold, which is good for boots and a component of an item. I'd probably just upgrade this and get boots. So you have enough gold to back, and you really need a ward refresh. So just back after this push. Instead, you don't. And you don't have wards. So you guys could easily get punished for this. And now Ashe is here. So you're not able to actually return to lane. If you back now, she's going to get hits on your tower before you can return to lane. The right idea to recall, but the wrong spot, man. If Tahm Kench walks into this brush, you're dead. So you should have recalled back here. Hey, you got a pink ward. That's actually pretty good. Okay, so Volibear's going for this, like, Rambo mode decision. He's got red buff and he's level 8 because he's farming really nicely. But Ezreal is defensively pruning his wave, and you backed. You did the right thing in back, and Ezreal's doing the right thing in pruning as well. Like, Volibear's not really going for the right play here. That's a nice ult. That's a nice turnaround. Okay, I mean, so it paid off because Volibear is so fed right now. And Dragon here is the right idea, but the wrong execution. You just back, so you have 3 wards. You need, first of all, put your pink ward here. Put your pink ward here so you know if there's vision. Let me flip to the enemy's vision so I can give you a perspective of what's going on. Okay, they basically have no vision up. And that's understandable because Tahm Kench and Ashe just came back to lane. It's understandable that they don't have vision up yet, but at least put a pink here to know about it. The second thing you need to do, pink this, put a trinket ward or put a regular ward here, and put a regular ward here. You need to know if the enemy's going to collapse on your dragon attempt. And if I'm jungling and my bot lane just dies, I'm going to immediately check dragon because that's 90% of the time what teams do when they get bot lane. And it's the right play. You guys are making the right play with the wrong execution. And I've already watched this part, so I know Amumu's gonna come and get a triple kill because you didn't have vision of him. Your team gets a secondary thing from this, so because of the pressure you guys are putting down here, they get to take this turret, which is nice, but you still kind of lost that play. I don't think Mountain Drake is worth 3 deaths, especially on an Amumu, who has such a good item conversion. Like, gold is really valuable on Amumu. Well, you died, but you haven't placed a ward on the map in about 7 minutes. 8 minutes, actually. Mostly because you died and you couldn't, but... So Vladimir's making the wrong play again, but another good ult, and ultimately you guys profit from it. You just need to disengage this. Okay. Yeah, he's too strong right now, especially with his 3 kills and his bigger Hulk. Your team overstayed, and that's why you lost this. God, I hate this Yasuo. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. His decision making is so bad. Okay, what are you buying now? So it looks like you're going for Locket. I like it. I think getting Kindle Gem first is greedy. I like completing Aegis, and actually what I usually do is, well, I usually complete Boots before Locket, but I like completing Aegis before the Kindle Gem. I think it's just more valuable. It's one of the most gold efficient items in the game, like if you're actually surrounded by your teammates. You guys made a good play there, so you're probably going to get this turret. But you're too low to continue this play, so hopefully your team decides to back here. You're in a really greedy back position again. Okay, here's what happens in bronze all the time. You guys did the right thing and backed. They did the wrong thing and overstayed, so they're probably gonna die. Not your fault, you can't do anything about it, whatever. Okay, so now that the map is basically reset, actually Ezreal gets a kill from that play, but now they're gonna die. Now that the map is reset, he's dead, dude. You know, let him die. Like, he's dead. Like, you can't do anything here. Use this opportunity that the map has opened up. So here's what an opened up map means. Push lane, and a neutral lane. You know, this one isn't even that bad. But with 2 pushed lanes, you get to make vision plays. And vision plays means getting vision up. So with Dragon up in 114, I would like to see you, first of all, okay, they don't actually have any pinks. I would like to see you walk into bushes that might have a pink, which would be this one, this one, this one. Potential pinks in all 3 of those. I would like to see you Sweeper's Lens, probably these 2 bushes. I would like to see a ward here, then maybe save your 3rd ward for potential flanking positions. But you need to make vision plays and prep the dragon. You're not going to be able to hero mode save these guys. They're dead. Kennen has ult and he's going to kill them. Okay, well, Kennen actually didn't kill them, but you still haven't made a vision play. There's another observation that I want to point out. Throughout most of the mid game, you're hugging Ezreal's shoulder all game long. And you don't need to do that. Ezreal is a very self-sufficient ADC, so if he's in a side lane, the best way to help him there is to just put vision up and then join your team. Right now, you don't need to be hugging him, you just need to be making vision plays. So you guys actually have good ward coverage of the blue area of their base, but you're missing this giant pocket here. So the only thing really missing from your vision coverage, I think, would be a ward here. So it's worth leaving this, because you guys don't want to fight for the next 34 seconds. Dragon is up in 34 seconds. So what you want to do is save your spells, save your ultimates, save your power for the dragon fight instead of this crap. So you need to make use of this time by warding. Okay, this is like the perfect dragon scenario. Your team has push priority on the mid lane, which is the most important lane to cover when you're taking drag, and you have vision of their ADC. So this is the perfect dragon scenario. The only thing making it not perfect is the fact that you haven't placed a ward on the map in 13 minutes now. Oh, you have actually placed some wards. Okay, I take that back, but I still want to see one more ward. What good is that ward? This ward covers the same thing. So the point of this ward is to catch them rotating around here to stop your dragon attempt. But that's what the ward is for. I mean, if I was the one who placed this ward, I would have placed it here. But this is still a good ward. This is a completely wasted overlapping ward. It's not going to actually cover this because of the push stops vision. So it's a waste. But hopefully you guys get Mountain Drake for free. And by free, I mean Vladimir dies because he's a retard. And then, okay, Volibear leaves Dragon, which is probably the right decision. You're just gonna die here, dude. So what you did was you walked into a 2v5. You didn't die from it, which is nice, but you walked into a 2v5 and you had to... You didn't even burn anything, except old... I don't know. Bronze. Ezreal's gonna die here though, because he's not able to defend this 1v4. Oh, Yasuo is gonna be the sacrificial lamb. So Yasuo dies instead of Ezreal. I hate this Yasuo. It's back to the Dragon Dance, honestly. Again, this is the perfect scenario for Dragon. Their team is leaving. They just got a successful push with like 3 kills from it. They're leaving the map. You guys should take Dragon. But again, this Dragon needs to be predicated by ward here, ward here. Instead of you starting the Dragon. So, like literally, like what you could have used this time for is vision. What you used it for is to do like 400 damage to the dragon. So you did like 3% of its maximum health. Vision is much more important than a little bit of damage to the dragon. And you're tanking the dragon even though Volibear has sustain. But you're wasting your health pool. Anyway, I'm not gonna nitpick. I want to focus more on the macro. Again, you're hugging Ezreal, he doesn't need your help. This is the mid-game cardinal sin that everybody does in bronze, and I've finally figured out the way to stop it. It's just join them. So Ezreal's in the right... He's making the right play here. He is criminally underfarmed because you made him lose lane. So he needs to get back in this game. He does have his 2 items, but he's... Anyway, he just needs farm, and that's okay. ADCs are allowed to be in the side lanes getting farm. What you need to do, you've actually got a pretty good ward line here covering the river, but you don't have a good ward line covering a rotation from their tower here. So let him farm by himself. You don't need to be in this lane with him. What you should do is join your team, and well, you don't have any wards anymore, so you can't place any more ward. So let me talk about build path since it comes up now. What I almost always do is build Sidestone and or Targon's Brace. So usually on the first back I get Boots Targon's for 800 gold, or I get Sidestone for 800 gold. I usually get Sidestone if I can win the lane without needing Boots and Targon's. But if I cannot win, if I need them to win the lane, I'll get Boots Targon's first. This was a lane that you could have won without Boots Targon, so you got Sidestone instead, and that's okay. I'll get Boots Targons into something like Zyra or Karma, who are lane bullies, and I need the sustain from Targon, and I need the boots to be able to reposition. So anyway, Sidestone first is ideal, but then get Boots Targon upgrade boots, and then upgrade sightstone. That extra fourth ward is ridiculously crucial. So you need to get that extra fourth ward early on. So upgrading it to the Eye of the, I think it's called Eye of the Sentinel. Whatever it's called, you just need to upgrade that as soon as possible. So that fourth ward. But anyway, I digress. You don't need to be hugging Ezreal's shoulder right here. He doesn't need your help clearing this wave. He can do it just fine on his own. You need to be up here with your team. So the cardinal sin of bronze games is that everybody in bronze always groups, even when grouping is not the right option. In this particular game, at this particular time, grouping is not the right option. Because Ezreal's in a side lane, which he should be, but this lane is really big and pushing to you guys. So Vladimir needs to leave the mid lane. Volibear needs to farm his camps, and Yasuo needs to kind of do nothing. Not really anything for him to do right now, but that's okay. Right now you're wasting 3 people. Well, your team is wasting 3. Anyway, I'm ranting, but like I said, in a bronze game, I figured out the secret. Join them. Double down on their bad decision, because right now it's a bad decision with 3 people against 5. But if you're there, it's 4 people against 5. And you can actually swing a fight in your favor pretty strongly with 4 versus 5 because it's bronze and people don't always team fight correctly. So anyway, you don't need to be hugging Ezreal's hand here. Here's what happens. They get engaged upon. This is actually only 2v3 here, and they're probably going to lose it because they got engaged upon. Boom ult onto all 3. They didn't even have ult. You're going to lose it because your team tower died. But if you were here, they wouldn't have lost it. Now, you're able to actually defend Ezreal, and so it kind of paid off because their team was actually rotating to kill you. You would have known if they were rotating to kill you if you got the vision up that I was recommending. That's actually hilarious. Okay, so it works out for you and Ezreal. It doesn't work out for your team. I think the best play overall would have been to lay down vision and go with your team. So the vision would have made Ezreal safe from Ashe, from Kench, and you would have been able to join your team and prevent them from dying. In the end, I think Ezreal's double kill is more valuable than their team getting a couple kills, so it worked out. But you can't guarantee Ezreal and you win that fight every time. It was actually super close, and Ezreal only won by a sliver, because if Tom Kent pushed E a half second earlier, he would have lived and he would have died. So that fight was too close to depend on. The dependable play is the vision play. Okay, catching this wave is acceptable. If you see more than one person behind Ashe, you need to leave, but I think right now defending this turret is the acceptable play. As soon as this play is over, you need to roam to the mid lane. I mean, sorry, you don't need to roam, you need to get vision. God, I hate that fucking Yasuo. Why did he engage that? This is why I hate Yasuo players. You guys just lost 4 people because he dived in. Taking a 5v5 is not unfavorable for your team. You guys have a decent setup for a 5v5 because Leona's a good team fighter, Ezreal's a good team fighter, Volibear's actually a pretty good team fighter with his ultimate damage, and Vladimir's a really good. So you guys have a good team fight team. But not when Yasuo dive. Whatever. I will point out their team has an even more threatening team fight team if you're positioning as a blob. So you guys need to pick team fights where you can spread out a little bit and not let Amumu get 3 or 4 men ults. You're sitting in base. Problem. You didn't even buy anything.
Your team's turret has been destroyed.
But when it's 23 minutes and you haven't upgraded your sightstone, I think that's a problem, because vision is how you transition a support lead into a win. You're in the side lane, pruning the side lane. The side lane did need to be pruned, but obviously Yasuo was going there, so you don't need to. You need vision up. Dragon's in 140, so this is another good time to get... Hey look, the dragon play wards. Ward here, I think that's yours actually. Nice. And where's your other ward? Okay, you got the 2 wards that I've been wanting. It just took you a little bit too long. Um, Once you drop bot turret, I think it's actually safer to stick a ward up here than here. In the early game, you don't want to walk all the way up here because their support can roam up here and kill you. But in the mid game, it's probably better to walk all the way up here and put it here. Not a terrible deal. These are good wards. These are the good dragon coverage wards. Now that you have the wards up, you need to group with your team. Because that's what they do in bronze. You might as well group with them. It was not honestly that bad of an ult, but Urgot timed his ult really well. You guys lose the fight. The big reason you lost the fight was because you engaged that. I can't. If I rewind, the client crashes, but I'm not gonna rewind it. But you need to be careful not to engage when someone's pruning a side wave. Yasuo was doing the right thing, which was clearing a side wave vision to get dragon, but it cost you guys this play and probably dragon. That's quite a bit. I want to make my videos a bit shorter. You get a shutdown. It's your team's job to transition that into a pick. So dragon here is not a good idea though because your jungler is top. Again, you're holding Ezreal's hand when he doesn't need it. This play is actually a really bad play that probably the beginning of the end of this game. I mean, I'm looking at this. There's only like 4 minutes left. But why is there only like 4 minutes left? Well, they're trying to tower dive a tank, but you don't have any vision of their enemy team. So they're making the wrong play. But like I said, in bronze, you have to just double down on their bad play. Ezreal is safe here. If your team is putting so much pressure in the top lane, Ezreal is certainly safe behind the river on the opposite side of the map. So you should have seen earlier, as you spawned, 3 of them, they killed Kennen right here. And then they pushed the lane all the way up. So you should have noticed that because he died right as you spawned. So you should have been like, oh, my team is one top lane, they're probably going to go up here. Or you should have at least kept an eye on where they're at and opted to follow them. So I think what they should have done is killed Kennen and taken Baron. Or they should have killed Kennen and taken Dragon. What they're doing is the wrong decision, but it's bronze and that's going to happen. But it's the even more wrong decision when you're not there. So I'm going to watch them die. Bolívar has taken 7 tower shots now. Yasuo ulted their tank. And he actually puts up a really good wind wall that stops them moving. So they live. But them living, oh, he's retarded and Vladimir checked and now they're dead. Okay. So they don't live. Even if they lived, their team gets a crapload of map control from that because 3 of your members were too low to do anything and they had the base. So even if they lived, the enemy team could have gotten Baron. If you were there, you could have provided better peel. They would have been healthier. You might have even gotten a kill. So, bad map coordination. You have no words on the map. 2. Now you have 0. They both just died. Looks like this game's almost over. It looks like the client is crashing. Yeah, 28 minutes. This game is too even to actually end at 28 minutes, so it looks like the replay is bugged and it won't know the rest of the game. But I think this is indicative of why you guys lost the game. So as this game times out, let me go ahead and just provide a summary of kind of what was happening. So yeah, it's bugged. So anyway, you guys lost lane that should have at least been an even lane. Tahm Kench never wins lane because he doesn't have the tools to win lane. He's only got 1 harass spell, and he doesn't have any ability to all in your ADC. So Tahm Kench should not be winning lane. He's a bad poke support. If you he's basically winning lane because he was playing like a Sona, but he's a worse version of Sona. So you should have been able to win that lane, or at least go even, so that Ezreal had more farm. Now, this Ezreal is playing well, and so he got kills, which kind of made up for his lack of farm. But your lack of positioning in lane was pretty terrible. In bronze, that's not that big of a deal because you rarely find an enemy support who can actually coordinate the zone control to block your ADC off of farm, but you should still fix that. So by the mid game, I think your team lost the mid game also. You look at the score; it's 23-30 right now, so you certainly lost the mid game. Um, it's also 47k to 50k, and if I look at the mini map with like God Vision on, they have way more ward coverage than you guys do. They've got a ward here, they've got a ward here, they've got 2 wards here, and they've probably got a ward up here, but there's too many people on the map to see it. So they're winning the ward game up, and they've got a ward here, which is a pretty decent ward. So they've got a really good ward blanket on the map, which is the better indication of them winning the mid game. Your vision control was really low. You need to find time to break away from your ADC. That's a safe time to ward. The other reason you lost the mid game is because you were too busy hugging Ezreal when he was safely farming in the side lanes. You can ensure his safety by, again, getting wards, but then you can leave and join your team. Bronze teammates hardly make the right grouping. Like, bronze, the default is group always. And that's wrong. If you're to go like to a diamond game, grouping will be punished heavily by split pushing. But in bronze, nobody does that. Everyone groups, so you have to join them. You have to join them. And if a diamond smurf comes down to bronze, you'll probably join them. But the thing is, a diamond smurf will also get ahead in the lane, so joining a group... Anyway, you need to join your team for groups. Leave Ezreal... It doesn't mean leave Ezreal on his island, but every time he went to farm was actually a safe time to farm. If he's way up here farming, and everyone else is back here, then you should probably go with him, because he's the target that the enemy team is going to focus on. But if he's back here, and your team is all the way up here, way overextended, that's who the enemy team is going to focus on, and that's who you need to join. So I think that's a big reason you lost this game, is you were not moving around the map efficiently enough to actually make an impact. So unfortunately, I can't play out the end, but I imagine a lot of this goes on. So advice moving forward. Also, I do want to point out, you have passed level 9, but you haven't upgraded your trinket. So you need to upgrade your trinket. So the overall feedback is that if you like that hug your ADC positioning during the laning phase, pick Janna. Janna is actually impressively strong in low elo because everyone says focus the ADC, or you know, like you've had those games where everyone blames everyone for not killing the ADC. Well, when everyone is trying to dive bomb your ADC and your Janna, you just push hard. So Janna is a really good defensive champ that can afford to be behind the ADC in the laning phase and still come out ahead. Another reason, another good support, Braum. Braum likes to sit right next to his ADC. The entire laning phase, Braum should be right next to his ADC. So your positioning, if you were a Braum, would have actually been good. Also, Nami is another good option. She kind of likes to be offset of her ADC, but she's got a little bit more of that like defensive playstyle anyway. So maybe changing out your champion would be okay. Another option is to just change your style. Ironically, like two of my favorite champions are Nami and Leona. I like that aggressive Leona style where you have to play forward, but I also like the like more supportive defensive / can turn aggressive Nami style. So like they're both very different, and I've learned both styles. In bronze, I would say focus on one style, get good at that style, and use that to climb. So either change your Leona style to be correct, or change your Nami, or change your champion to be Nami, Braum, Janna. So that should hopefully fix the laning phase, and then just vision everywhere, please. Vision smartly, upgrade your sightstone early, and I hope that ends up making these games more successful in the long run. So thank you for asking me to review your game. I hope this was helpful. Please give me feedback of things that you like, things that you don't like. Upvote the thread if you liked it. Downvote the thread if you hated it. And in general, just thanks again for letting me.